Okay, this is Jorge Rivera with FirstCoast.tv. As our viewers know, our police chief is retiring. Your name is?
Loran Lueders.
That's right, for those who don't know. And there will be a new chief coming in town, and your name is?
Barry Fox.
That's it. So I had the honorable opportunity to have them both here, as one is on his way out to retire and another one is in to fill in that vacuum of the police chief. A very big transition in a city, especially the size of St. Augustine. So I have a couple of questions for them. My first question is, when is your effective retirement date?
November the 30th.
November the 30th. Okay. And you'll start then December 1st?
December 1st.
Okay. So here it is. Here's a question for you guys. Chief Lueders, when you look at your career, how could you describe your career? How long have you been in law enforcement?
I've been in law enforcement for 35 years and I've been chief for 12 years.
Wow. And in those 35 years, what, if you had to write a book about your career and the things that were important, not important, what would you say?
I would, probably the most important thing I guess that people learn over their career in law enforcement is it's all about how you treat people, how you deal with them, realizing they're in different situations, having empathy for them. And I think that this job teaches you that very quickly, because nothing can turn a situation, turn it to its worst side than you not appreciating, what somebody else is feeling in a certain situation. So I guess to sum it up, that would be the biggest thing, is your connectivity with the public and your empathy for the public is what either makes you great at this job or not so good at it.
Okay. And Assistant Chief Fox, how do you've been in law enforcement how long?
24 years.
Wow, wow, that's a long career. Yes. And what if you had to tell someone what your career's been about, what's important about it, what would you say?
My career is basically more about building friendships, building relations with this community. I've been involved in some aspect of that throughout my career in reference to building trust within the community and all, and continuing to do that.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I remember my father died before I was born. My mom was maybe 6 months pregnant. But my mom tells me, we lived in New York City, cops did beats in that time. Mm-hmm. And the cop that did the beat in our neighborhood was an Italian-American who still had a bit of an accent because he spoke mostly Italian at home. And my father couldn't sleep at night. Mom said he'd go down to the steps and take a thermos of coffee and wait for him to come by. And he'd offer him a cup of coffee and he'd go walk with him to beat, and they would just talk and watch him. And that to me shows that wonderful community relationship that someone like my father, a factory worker, could
that's its truest form of community policing right there. Mm-hmm. It's when you knew the cop that worked in your area and you mm-hmm. spoke to him and you knew the families and the kids, and unfortunately we've lost that a lot over the years.
Yes, yes. And when my father died, they had become friends on that night shift thing. Mm-hmm. And when my father died, he laid on the sofa, because he died at home with a massive heart attack. He stayed with him for 9 hours till they picked up his body. Wow. Never left him.
That's great.
And and I don't know that cop's name,
yeah.
But it's very touching for me. Mm-hmm. And they're the police is something that cannot be replaced in the community.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So when you look at your careers, and I had to say, well, U.S. Police Chief, 12 years. Do you remember the name of the last police chief?
Sure. I didn't see him regularly. It's Sheriff Shore.
Okay. So, all right. And when you came in, what do you think was your biggest challenge? Here suddenly you were the police chief.
I think St. Augustine has and it was starting a little bit back then, as you well know, our bread and butter is our tourism.
Right.
So I think managing the tourism versus the livability of our city was an issue then. It's doubled or become 100% more important now, because we've actually, we've been found, as we like to say. So we're a destination now, and I think that changed during the actual downturn in the economy, because people from around here started to come to St. Augustine. So our tourism actually picked up in that, because they were doing what they call staycations, and so I think that's probably is the biggest challenge in this job that Barry will find out is managing the tourism versus the residents and the livability of our city, and making sure all that's in harmony.
Yeah, we are quite unique as a community.
Absolutely.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, you got it. Now, Assistant Chief of Fox. Now, you're 24 years in law enforcement. Have they been here or
All right here.
all right here?
Yes,
wow. So you really are homegrown, as they
Yes,
say.
I am.
So, what do you think what do you think was your biggest challenge in those 24 years, as the years went by? What do you think was the thing that was your biggest challenge to overcome in the community?
Here at the police department?
Yeah, the police department.
For here at the police department, I think our biggest challenge is getting buy-in for the community and coming together finally as a community.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we're well on our way down that road, accepting each other and the division in the police department within the community, and the community accepting us. You know, and going forward, like Chief Lueders has referred to, going forward, our community's biggest issue facing them is going to be the mobility and the tourism. And then as a department, we have little things, new things that show up, like social media. You know, we have to figure out how we're going to manage those things.
Everybody's a reporter now.
Everybody's a reporter. Everybody, you know, and that's fine. You know, we have to be able to manage that and be part of it and continue to build upon it, because it connects us with our community even in that aspect. And a lot of guys that are here, social media is not really their friend, so we're a little behind the ball in reference to utilizing social media to its greatest advantage to help us build those and maintain those relationships. But we're moving forward in the right direction.
Okay. Well, I'll stay with you here and follow up with this question is, so you coming as chief, replacing him, what do you think is your first priority or first challenge on that first day, December 1st?
No true challenges. I'll say no true challenges. The biggest task will be building upon what has been established by Chief Lueders, and keeping those philosophies and those programs and the relationships going, and maintaining them is really what I'm looking forward to.
Okay. And you're leaving on the 30th. Don't know if you play golf.
I play at it. I'm not very good at it. So.
Okay, but what do you think you're going to miss the most? I mean, it's such a routine for so long.
The people here, the people in the police department, in the city, and the community. I mean, obviously, I've been here 35 years, so I've seen it change a great deal, and know quite a lot of people. So it's like you say, it's the every day, the constant coming back and forth, and getting to see those people. So that. Obviously, nobody's going to miss the political aspects of this job or any of that kind of stuff, or the upset people. But you know, so I think just seeing the people that make this town work every day, you know, I think is what'll be the biggest thing that I'll miss.
Well, when I hear your name around, it's always in a very positive light.
Well, thank you.
So I think that's good for a police officer.
Absolutely.
I'm from New York. It's like the same mayor. If you hear a lot of bad things about the mayor, there's a bad energy about him. If it's a good thing you hear, then there's a positive energy, and that's great. And here's a question I'll put to both of you. We see in the news a lot of problems with community and police. When you look at I'll start with you, and you can answer that same question. Is when you see the conflicts between communities, it's on the news constantly. How would you say our health report looks on police and community? At least to the time where you're leaving, this is what I've left behind.
I think it's pretty good. We obviously have a healthy respect for our community, and I feel that they have the same for us. The best we can ever hope for in that situation is to build that bridge that keeps us connected, and that we at least, if something tragic was to happen, get the benefit of the doubt to the point where they say, no, our police department, they do the best they can to make sure that we're aware of everything, and we love being transparent.
Yeah,
so if we can just, it's the best thing we can possibly ever ask for is don't jump to conclusions. Let us tell you and explain to you what happened. Mm-hmm. And as long as, if we can keep that kind of an atmosphere and make those connections at, the elementary school level with the people, and let them know that we're here as a part of the community, not as adverse to the community. I think that's what's very important, and what will keep us in the same report card as we put it here now. I think, like I said, I think we have a good relationship with all of our community, and I know that Assistant Chief Fox will keep that going and maybe build upon it and make it even stronger.
Yeah, like my father says, you know, when truth needs to flow, let it flow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't block it. 'Cause you'll
And
regret
that's,
it later.
you know, that's one of the biggest things. If you make a mistake, say it.
Right.
Because if you try to do
We're
anything
human.
but that, you'll
We're
get
human.
caught, and it's never good, and it's just tell the truth. Period.
Okay. What could you follow up on that?
Well,
Assistant Chief?
following up on that, I mean, I could probably repeat everything you just said.
Yeah.
Transparency is a major key.
Mhm.
Communication being even more so. We've got real good relationships with our community, and it's important that we continue to build upon that with our community leaders and our faith-based leaders. So if we ever have an incident where we need to draw upon them to help us communicate correctly with the community, we've got that relationship already built with them. Just to come back to transparency, if you're not being transparent, then they're not going to have our trust.
Right.
So
Okay. So what I want to tell you both is I wish you a great retirement
Thank you.
and a lot of health, and I wish you all luck on that new position, because
Thank you, sir.
really you're part of this. It's not like you came out of town. You know the people, and that's wonderful.
Sure.
I think that's great for us because it's not someone from outside. It's one of our own boys here. So I wish you all the best there. I'll call you Chief Fox, okay? Just for today. And thank you again for allowing us to talk to both of you.
Absolutely.
And
Thank
being
you.
frank and honest
Thank you.
with us.
Thank you very much.